Welcome back to Royal Vault UK, where we uncover the hidden truths, rivalries, and silent struggles inside the British royal family. Today, we unfold a story that has shaken the House of Windsor to its core. A story not of triumph, but of exile. After years of controversy and denial, Prince Andrew, once hailed as the Queen's favorite son, has reached the end of his royal chapter. Behind the grandeur of Buckingham Palace, the monarchy faced a painful truth. To protect the crown, they had to sacrifice blood. In this episode, we reveal how King Charles made the most difficult decision of his reign: to cut his own brother loose forever. Before his downfall, Prince Andrew was once one of the most visible faces of the British monarchy. As the second son of Queen Elizabeth II, he embodied charm, confidence, and royal prestige. His military service during the Falklands War earned him national respect, and the tabloids affectionately called him the handsome prince. But beneath the surface of admiration, Andrew's personal life was always marked by controversy. Lavish spending, questionable friendships, and a growing sense that he lived by a different set of rules began to shadow his reputation. When news of his connection to financier Jeffrey Epstein emerged, what had once been whispers turned into a national scandal. The photographs, the flight logs, and eventually the BBC Newsnight interview in 2019 became defining moments not only for Andrew, but for the entire monarchy. Within Buckingham Palace, the late Queen Elizabeth struggled between maternal loyalty and public duty. Insiders described her as heartbroken, yet she understood the monarchy could not survive another wave of public outrage. When King Charles inherited the throne, he also inherited the burden, a brother whose presence had become a symbol of disgrace. The decision awaiting him was one no monarch wishes to face: to preserve the institution or to protect his family. And in the House of Windsor, one could not survive without sacrificing the other. As public anger grew louder, the palace could no longer remain silent. For decades, the royal family had relied on quiet diplomacy. But the scandal surrounding Prince Andrew had reached a point beyond repair. According to palace insiders, the final conversation between King Charles and his brother took place behind the closed doors of Clarence House. It was not a heated exchange. It was calm, deliberate, and devastating. Charles, who had always valued the monarchy above all else, spoke with the weight of the crown on his shoulders. He told Andrew that the family could no longer shield him, not after the latest revelations, not after Virginia Giuffre's renewed statements describing herself as a toy passed around, and naming Andrew once again. For Andrew, the words struck harder than any public judgment. He pleaded quietly to be allowed to continue his charitable work, to remain within the structure of the royal household. But Charles had already made his decision. From that day forward, Andrew would no longer be referred to as His Royal Highness. His remaining royal patronages were withdrawn. His official social media accounts quietly vanished. Even the family's public website removed his name from the list of working royals. The House of Windsor, once unshakable, had drawn a line of final, silent separation between duty and blood. In the weeks that followed, the news spread through every newspaper and broadcast across Britain. Some called it justice. Others called it cruelty. Inside the family, the emotional fallout was immense. Princess Beatrice, torn between loyalty and shame, was seen quietly crying as she left a charity event. Sarah Ferguson, once Andrew's greatest ally, refused to comment, though sources said she remained fiercely protective of him in private. Meanwhile, Prince William reportedly supported his father's decision, saying it was a necessary step to protect the crown. But even within that unity, there was sadness. William had grown up admiring his uncle, and now he watched his family fracture in silence. At Windsor, the atmosphere changed. Andrew's presence at family gatherings grew uncomfortable. When photographs from the Festival of Remembrance were released later that year, his absence was undeniable, as though history had been rewritten to exclude him. Behind closed doors, he remained at Royal Lodge, a vast estate that once symbolized privilege, now a gilded cage. The corridors that had once echoed with laughter now carried only the sound of his solitary footsteps. One royal aide described it best: "He lives like a man frozen in time, surrounded by memories, but without a future." And so, the prince who once stood proudly beside his mother had become the family's most painful secret, a reminder that, in the House of Windsor, even royal blood cannot wash away scandal. The aftermath of King Charles's decision echoed far beyond the palace gates. In the eyes of many Britons, it marked a rare moment of accountability, a sign that the monarchy, once untouchable, could finally act in step with public morality. For others, it was a tragedy, a brother cast out, a family torn apart, and a reminder that royalty offers privilege only until it threatens the crown itself. Inside the royal household, the atmosphere shifted. Senior aides described a new sense of discipline. Every public appearance, every speech, every photograph now carefully measured. The era of quiet indulgence was over. Queen Camilla, though outwardly composed, was said to have urged Charles to act decisively to protect the monarchy's image. She understood better than anyone that silence could destroy a reign faster than scandal itself. Meanwhile, Prince William stepped further into the public spotlight, embodying the image of the modern, moral monarchy. His composure, his charity work, and his family life with Catherine became the quiet antidote to the chaos surrounding his uncle. For the public, the contrast was stark: one generation defined by duty, another by disgrace. It reignited debates across Britain. Should royal status be inherited or earned? Can the crown survive in an age that demands transparency from even its most sacred institutions? Historians noted that Charles's decision carried echoes of his mother's reign, her belief that the crown must always come before the individual. But this time, the emotional weight was heavier, because it was not just any royal being stripped away. It was her son, his brother, a Windsor by blood, but no longer by duty. Through this painful act, King Charles redefined what royal accountability looks like in the 21st century. He showed that the monarchy's survival depends not on perfection, but on its willingness to evolve even when that evolution breaks hearts. Behind the polished facade of royal unity, there remains a quiet truth: that the monarchy's greatest strength has always been its ability to endure, even when it must sacrifice one of its own. In the quiet corridors of Windsor, where portraits of kings and queens line the walls, a single truth lingers: even royal blood cannot escape consequence. Prince Andrew now lives in near silence, surrounded by memories of a life once gilded in privilege. He rarely appears in public, and when he does, the air grows still, the weight of his past preceding every step he takes. Those who once served beside him say he spends most of his days within the grounds of Royal Lodge, walking alone through the gardens once filled with family laughter. The world outside has moved on, but inside those gates, time seems to stand still. King Charles, meanwhile, carries the burden of his decision not as a ruler seeking punishment, but as a brother who understood there was no other way. In the delicate balance between love and duty, he chose the crown. And so, the story of Prince Andrew is no longer one of royal glamour, but of silence, exile, and consequence. A reminder that the monarchy's endurance comes not from its perfection, but from its ability to confront its own humanity. Perhaps, in another time, redemption might have been possible. But for now, behind the gates of Windsor, the Duke of York remains what history will remember him as: a fallen prince, a brother cast adrift, and the man the crown could no longer protect. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Royal Vault UK, your window into the secrets behind the crown and the untold stories that shaped its legacy.